Smallpox, pandemic conquest. The term pandemic comes from Greek words meaning all people. It usually refers to an infectious disease that spreads across a wide geographic area. A true pandemic is a disease that affects people all around the world. Pandemics could not take place before 1492. Up to that time, North and South America did not have contact with the rest of the world. Then the Spanish arrived with smallpox. Deadly virus. The smallpox virus causes victims to break out in red bumps all over the body. Deadly and very contagious, it was a common childhood illness in Europe and Asia. The children who got smallpox and survived were immune to the virus for the rest of their lives. The native peoples of the Americas had never encountered smallpox. Native Americans were defenseless when the Spanish brought the disease to the Americas in the early 1500s. Smallpox enters the Americas. Spanish records suggest that smallpox killed 1/3 of the natives on the island of Hispaniola before spreading to other islands. In 1519, the Spanish nobleman Hernán Cortés landed in present-day Mexico. He set out to conquer the powerful Mexica, Aztecs. One of his generals brought someone infected with smallpox to the Mexica's kingdom in April 1520. The Great Pox, as the Spaniards called the disease, raced through Tenochtitlan, the capital city and the largest city in the Americas. Thousands died. Mexica, fleeing their homes, spread the disease to other parts of the empire. The disease wiped out the Mexica army. Cortés easily conquered Tenochtitlan. Cortés became ruler of Mexico in August 1521. Smallpox continued to rage through Central America and beyond. The Inca. The Inca Empire stretched from present-day Colombia to Chile. A smallpox epidemic spread throughout the empire in 1524 or 1525. It killed between 60 and 90% of the native population over the next few years. The emperor and most of his family also died. A war between two surviving sons to claim the throne further killed countless more. Francisco Pizarro, another Spanish conqueror, arrived in the 1530s and defeated the weakened Inca with fewer than 200 men. Before the Pilgrims. When the Pilgrims arrived in New England in 1620, they discovered an abandoned Native American village called Patuxet. It became the base of their new settlement, Plymouth. Patuxet and the surrounding land were unoccupied because other Europeans had brought smallpox earlier. The disease wiped out up to 90% of the local Wampanoag people. It destroyed native communities from Maine to Cape Cod in the Massachusetts colony. The Great Pox. Smallpox left New England wide open to settlement by Europeans. Further epidemics in North America weakened native peoples for more than 200 years. Smallpox devastated the Pacific Northwest and again New England in the 1770s. It struck the Great Plains 60 years later. Historians believe that smallpox reduced some native populations so much that they could not protect themselves from European settlers. HIV/AIDS, modern pandemic. The human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, attacks the immune system. It leaves the body increasingly defenseless against infections. Unlike smallpox or influenza, HIV often takes years to advance. A person with HIV may not know he or she is infected for 9 to 11 years. The immune system has begun to fail by that time. At this stage, the condition is known as acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or AIDS. Mystery disease. HIV probably first appeared in Central Africa in the early 20th century. It remained unknown until the 1970s. A mysterious disease that destroyed immune systems surfaced in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Meanwhile, physicians in California and New York noticed a small number of men with infections and weakened immune systems. An illness with the same symptoms had struck Tanzanian towns near Lake Victoria in Africa. By 1982, U.S. investigators found that drug users who used needles had a great risk of catching the virus. It also infected others, including women and patients who received blood in the hospital. The CDC began tracking the outbreak. Researchers learned infected body fluids spread the disease. Experts named the condition AIDS. In 1983, separate scientific teams discovered HIV. Scientists believed a cure would be found. Catastrophe in Africa. But an HIV cure did not come. It took years to develop medicines to treat HIV. In the meantime, HIV spread quickly, especially in Africa. One reason for its spread was that public health officials often used dirty needles on their patients. A lack of information about the disease added to the problem. By 1996, 19.2 million Africans carried the virus. 5,000 more were infected every day. New groups at risk. In the 2000s, HIV/AIDS spread rapidly in Caribbean countries, especially the Bahamas and Haiti. In 2005, inmates at U.S. state and federal prisons became 3 times more likely than other Americans to be infected. The disease continues to spread in Eastern Europe. Health organizations believe that more than 1 million Russians have HIV, with 80% of them under age 40. The threat continues. Education about HIV from organizations such as the WHO and the CDC cut the worldwide infection rate in the early 21st century. New cases decreased by 25% in the hardest-hit nations. In the 1990s, researchers discovered that combinations of 2 or 3 drugs could slow down, though not cure, HIV. Activists around the world fought to make the expensive medicines affordable for all victims of the virus.